pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has everybody seen the minutes from October 31st?
Yes. To approve?
Do I get a second?
Second.
Any comments on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Public comment, there's, anybody get a chance to look at this and any comments? Most of the stuff in the program or projects comes from our quarterly meetings. So, if something's not correct,
Were we gonna be able to get any PE for that railroad crossing for Chessie? We kinda discussed it, but I don't know if we landed on,
when's that going to construction?
and we have it in 26, but it kinda depends on the PE at this point.
How much is it in here?
Which death number was it?
1900831. So this is the one where the new desk number, so we.
I'm gonna have to get a bigger picture. How much funding?
At the Porte meeting, so, it's, let me see here. It'd be 92 federal. And that includes the railroad, reimbursement for the railroad.
How's that coming, by the way? The railroad?
Well, we haven't paid them, so they're not really gonna do much yet. We've had good communication with them generally, and we've got some better contacts than we've had in the past. Since we have other projects going on with them.
So I probably can't get any funds until 25.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on what we look like in 2025. Looks like there are some funds in 25. There's some funds in 24 also. Did you send me an email, Nick?
A while back, but I can send you a new one.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You've got a comp plan in 24.
Yeah.
23.
What's that?
Isn't it 23?
We're in 24.
It's 23 does, but it moved out to 24. That's right. I remember now because of okay.
We got your funds. We got your project early. If you remember, we got it like this time last year.
Yeah. Okay. That's right.
And we programmed it early.
Right.
So you could get 24
got
funds.
Okay. Got it.
So.
Okay. And then.
Just have something like that over here. That was all I had.
Okay.
This stuff.
Charles?
Yes.
We do have that comp plan also for the Porte County. We did have the RFP out. I'm actually doing the scoring now on that project. This is the score sheet, so I'll have the tallies up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can get that money until 25,
Okay.
till July.
July 25, okay, I'll let Mitch know, it's actually, he's spearheading that.
Yeah, actually, I know I can't, but I'm not gonna be able to get you those funds. Yeah,
Are we discussing these extra requests now or later?
I just mentioned that to him, we can discuss it later if you want.
Okay. What Mitch and I.
It should be,
talked
it should be
Okay.
new. 4B, 2024 STIP explanation. So as we are aware, the tip is kind of frozen. Because we're in an air quality non-attainment area. NERC is. So therefore, we have to wait until our EPA, our numbers from the EPA, our metrics from the EPA are in comments on those, which we don't expect. We haven't had anything yet. Those will be approved on March 19th. And once we get those numbers approved, then we get our long range plan approved. And then we can get our TIP approved. And then we can get our TIP amendment approved. I've been talking with Federal Highway and NDOT, and we are, they've assured me that we're gonna push this through as quickly as possible. So once those numbers get approved and our LRTP gets approved, our long range transportation plan gets approved, then our TIP can go out for, I believe, a 3-day public comment period with the state. We've already done our public comment period on our TIP. Way back in April of last year. The state only requires a 3-day public comment period. So they'll put theirs out for a 3-day public comment period. And once that's approved, then the TIP amendment will go out for a 3-day public comment period. And then once that's approved, both of those be in the STIP. So we're looking, hopefully by April 1st, our TIP will be approved and official. So that this fall I can start working on the next TIP. So I know it's been like 2 years, a year and a half actually to get this TIP approved.
Would you anticipate any amendments after that gets approved, or is it?
Well, we had one amendment in last week. So that's gonna go through, and then we probably will do, we were talking at the last meeting, we'll probably do another amendment. But the problem is we're running out of time to get it in 24 funds.
Yeah.
So, and then the projects, but we can't, and if we do that, it'd be an emergency amendment. We don't like doing emergency amendments because it bypasses the whole process. We have a public comment process, we have the TPC and the commission that approve those would all be bypassed, we don't wanna do that. We will on certain circumstances, but, and only for those projects. So, so that's where we are on that. Questions on the TIP or STIP? Like I said, April 1st, I'm hoping that we're good to go. And it's looking like any amendments, real amendments are gonna come through in July or in time for the July of 25.
I guess it says the 24 to 28 TIP STIP. Our 28 projects were just illustrative at this point, weren't they?
Yes, they are.
We don't really.
Any projects in 2028 by federal highway standards are illustrative, so they don't even look at those. Other new business, or new business,
Local quarterly meetings, we just finished those. We talked about the, submitting your invoices for payment with NDOT. Several communities in Lake and Porter County, had let those lapse over the, and if you gotta pay them monthly or submit them monthly. If you don't, NDOT reserves the right after 6 months of closing those POs down. And that money goes back to federal highway. Doesn't stay in the region, doesn't get used anywhere else, it doesn't go elsewhere in the state. It goes and is used elsewhere in the country. We lost $1.3 million in 2023 monies. Doesn't have anything to do with Group 2 funds here, but Lake and Porter County, 1.3 million.
So Group 2 didn't lose that?
No, Group 2 didn't lose it. Lake and Porter did. Group 1 did. And that's because cities and towns didn't submit their invoices in a timely manner. So, if you wanna go to your mayor and explain to him, or your council, that, you lost some money. Yeah, didn't think so.
There is a delay, like in LaPorte County, they quit writing checks, after December, and don't write checks until February, so there is a couple month delay in there, and I had to explain that to Marcy, Brienne, and also to Robin, the voucher, there's been pretty rushed into, so we haven't, as long as, there's sometimes it might be 3 months before time we get it, payment done and check cash to get the voucher in. But they're aware of it, we haven't had any issues.
Yeah, and if you.
Made me aware of it.
Yeah, and I would say if you're gonna be 3 months, in between, I would be sending an email to Marcy or Brianne, so that they can put a note in there, cause I look at the notes. But once cause this is a comment, this comes down from NDOT central office. This isn't Marcy or Brianne saying, oh, they haven't paid anything, say. No, and once it comes through to Marcy and Brianne, they don't have the option of saying, but wait, let me call them and see. Or they don't have the option of calling you and saying, hey, give me something today. It's shut it down, close it up.
Are they more likely to do this on older deses than newer, or does it not matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you haven't been submitting, invoices in 6 months or more, I think it's in your LPA contract that it can be, your PO can be closed. So, make sure you get those in on a timely manner.
Yeah.
And they're usually really good at Marcy and Brianna are usually really good about, telling you specifically which projects at the quarterly meetings. Hey, this project, we haven't seen anything. Need to get an invoice in. Not just a general overview, but really specific on which projects. And they tell everybody, people that are really good, they'll just casually mention it. But the people that may be 3 months or more, they may mention it to you specifically. Send an email, they'll tell you at quarterly meetings. So that's something to keep in mind. 5B, Federal Highway is now requiring us to show current estimates from state submittals in our tip. So when you get an estimate from a state submittal, please send it to me, let me know, so we can get it into our tip.
Is that just to see it, or is that actually gonna make them move money?
What's that?
Is that just so we can see it and track it, or is it actually gonna make them consider?
With the project, the public needs to see all the funds that are shown in the project. So, I don't think it matters much if you have local funds, but if you have federal funds, you need to show all the federal funds that are in the project. So they need to see the total amount of all the funds in that project.
Okay.
So they need to see whether or not, PE or right-of-way, those funds need to be shown in there, even if they're local funds. So usually when I program projects, like going off the NOFA application, what I'll do is I'll just throw a number in there, maybe like $20,000 for right-of-way, if you told me there is no right-of-way.
Okay.
So, or maybe I'll put in 0 if you told me specifically there is no right-of-way. I think that's what I do. Usually I put an educated guess in there, and then once you start giving me state submittals, you should be, in fact, I asked for the total funds you're giving me, how you're paying for it, and so on and so forth. So they have to be shown in there, no matter what. Uh, 5C, there's a new federal reg titled CA-23-6, titled Enhancing Transparency Through Use of Investing in America Emblem on Signs. Basically that says that if you want to put a sign up that says this project was funded by the Bill Act or IIJA, there's some guidelines on that. So you can, that is available for federal reimbursement. So, 5D, future meeting location. One of our requirements for having this meeting is that we have this meeting on YouTube. So we're streaming it live. And we are having some issues in this building with getting Wi-Fi. We have, right?
It's a little spotty, but it hasn't stopped completely. It's
Okay.
It was a little difficult getting connectivity, but we'll got to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we were wondering if we could discuss maybe other locations, that might not be as difficult, whether they're in Michigan City or.
One possibility would be Health Foundation's, Health Foundation Reports Conference Center.
Isn't that where we met with the Protect? Yeah.
So that would be, there would be no issues with Wi-Fi or
We've got
I would.
pretty
anything
good
there.
set up there.
Yeah, NDOT uses that occasionally for
Yeah.
the Point District meetings too. I've been meetings there. It's a nice facility.
Okay. Maybe we look into, see what those coming, because we don't need a whole lot, a big space, so we should be fine.
No, they have rooms,
Yes, smaller
they have
rooms.
rooms this size basically that can accommodate that.
What's the name of it?
Health Fund, well,
It's, yeah, Health Foundation.
Health Foundation of LaPorte.
It's on East Shore Parkway.
Yeah, it's about a mile from here.
And
Oh, sure,
Michigan
in the
City,
club.
you guys don't
Yeah.
have an issue coming down here still for this?
Okay.
It's weird seeing it 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Different role. I walked in, I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Wait for me to.
Maybe I'll stop and talk to him. 5E, new administration workshop next week, next Thursday. Going on at NERC office from 10:30 to 12:30. Did everybody get Tim, you might not have gotten this because you're not on my T-Rock list. Sylvia, I believe you did. I believe you guys all received it.
More
Me-
than once.
What's that?
More than once. You sent it, Leah sent it, Ann sent it. Yeah, I got like 5.
Hey, we're covering our
And I can't count, so.
We're expecting, when I first put this out there and started talking about it, there's been a lot of people that were interested. So we're expecting a full house. It's gonna be a general NERC 101, federal funding 101, construction process 101. How things work in our world. I've had before where mayors have told me that we got funding, we're shovel ready, let's go, let's get this project going, I'll call it milestone tomorrow. Like, no, you can't do that. And then I gotta explain to them, go through the whole process of why you just can't do that tomorrow. And so that's kind of where I'm directing it, so I know Shannon mentioned sending the new mayor down, so she could, learn about the process. But if you have any new commissioners, council people that, are wanting to know how this process works, by all means, send them through. I think we've got like 30 people signed up already. 29,
Before we.
yeah.
I'll bring that up tonight, Michigan City Council for the new members if they're interested, and give them the information.
Yeah, and, if you want, we can send you that link.
I will.
Beth has plenty to send.
Yeah, I got plenty to do.
I'll be one of them. I'll bring it up tonight also too.
Yeah, so, yeah, if anybody wants to come, I would say sign up early. If we do find we have a huge increase, I may hold another meeting, but more actually, afterwards, I'll probably have, a video of it as well as all the meeting materials. There's gonna be an acronym sheet there. Wholly incomplete, I know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just one sheet?
That's all we do is-
It's actually 3.
Yeah.
It's actually 3 of them, but,
We're getting into that, I know.
and the last sheet's got plenty of room for additionals.
And Charles, I don't know if you said that there's a cap on attendance.
There's a cap of 60 people on this attendance.
The room has to be compliant with ADA, so we
And
can't have,
it's at the Lake Michigan room.
Yes.
depending on how we set it.
So, if you bring your new mayor or new council people, if they wanna, if you wanna be in there and help explain to them, that might be a benefit. But the whole idea is that if they have any questions, they can ask those questions, we can explain things. I think Brianne's gonna be there.
Yeah, she said she was gonna be there.
So, someone from NDOT will be there to help catch me, and then I know several of the consultants are gonna be there. And I've kind of said, if anybody here that knows the process and I don't explain something fully, let me know, and I'll help explain it. So, I wanna put that invite out there, and sign up early. Any other new business
The other
requests?
So we really can't take any action on like Polk Street or Lake Street or anything like that, consider it until after TIP is approved, is that kind of the?
We can't add it, so, well, we could add FY25 funds to it, if you wanna discuss those projects.
I mean, I think looking at the, kind of the full list here, this looks like 26 we're over, 25 we're under, 27 we're under. So, I just wanna make sure, one of my key things that we talked about a lot last week is if we can keep the Park Street and Park Street intersection in the same year, that's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So shifting funds from another, even the corridor, which has funds in 26, or what else do we have? Something.
So we do have federal funds for the corridor in fiscal year 26 for design. Just for those of you that are in the audience.
Design of what? The
The
corridor
general-
itself?
The general corridor, not the fully funded, but in order for anybody to get access to these funds, they need to show a financial plan of how it's gonna be afforded. Okay? I haven't seen that, so until I get that, as Group Two only gets, for everybody's information, Group Two gets about 2.3 million annually to spend. 2.3 million isn't gonna afford that or anywhere near that amount. So until we can find out, until I can be shown, and this is a federal highway guideline, until you can be shown how you're gonna pay for the project, we can't allow funding for any of the project.
But the money that is allocated, is that for a design study or for an actual, they're laying out a plan of what that bypass would actually look like?
I can clarify.
Go ahead.
So currently, there is a DES number existing that is a LaPorte County project, and that is for the NEPA document, so that's a planning study. The planning study, in order to get approval, then has to have, really PE right away and, well, PE and right away to get the NEPA approved. The city of LaPorte has a project for design of the first phase, and that's currently funded in 26. But without the county's NEPA document approved, we don't know that that's the right year for the funding, or where that needs to go. And the funding for design is only for the first phase, which is really the section of Boyd Boulevard, kind of between 4 and 35. So the dollars allocated to the project currently are from previous years, and they're with a DES number that currently resides with the county as the LPA, the local public agency that holds that agreement with NDOT. The city has a second one, but as Charles said, without having those details, we don't have NDOT LPA agreement essentially taking it to the next step where we'd actually start design. So we have it programmed and it's in the tip, but it has not moved forward to actually having an agreement with NDOT to then, once we have that agreement, we would do a FEMAS, which would request the funds that were allocated in this plan. So it's still, there's quite a bit to get there, and we don't know that 26 is even the right year, so that's why we're over allocated in 26. If we can make sure the Park Street project happens and shift that would be one likely project to shift funds into another fiscal year in order to make everything work, since we're limited on funds on that particular.
Okay, so you're at a stage with that north-south corridor where there doesn't need to be any more studies done. It's actually now where it's being laid out, or is it still in a study stage?
It's still a planning phase. So there's essentially a planning phase, and I think it's called PE at this point, even though it's not preliminary.
Right. All right, then who pays for that part if it's still in the planning stage? Who's paying for that? Who's footing the bill for all that?
So LaPorte County is the LPA. So LaPorte County is they hold the agreement with NDOT. The city has an agreement with LaPorte County to supplement some of the costs of that, but it is a LaPorte County project currently.
So years ago, in 2019, I think it was, this project was proposed. But with the size of the project, a NEPA study needs to be done first. In other words, we need to look at all the environmental factors that go into that. And much more than just, we have to look at environmental justice. They're required to look at environmental justice, they're required to look at wetlands.
Noise,
Noise.
light pollution, it's not just the natural impact of the project, it's the human impact of the project too. So it's a combination of many factors to try and figure out what is the least impactful solution to meet a purpose and need as defined by the project.
That's understandable, but probably since, and it could actually be before that, there's been study after study after study, money spent for this north-south corridor or some form of it during all this time. To me, I think that by now there should have been a decision made, you know, planning for all the money that was spent. You've probably got it, if everybody went back and looked at all the money allocated to all these design groups and everything for that bypass over the years, it's probably close to $4 million money that came out of the taxpayers that you're still not at square one where you're actually, you know, building that road. I mean, where's it gonna stop? I mean, you know, it's all fine and well for you guys, but I'm thinking at some point somebody needs to make a decision whether this is either a go or it's not. I mean, that's to me. Now I know from your end that $4 million, that's squat, but for the average Joe, that to me seems to be a lot of money, and there's still not anything accomplished yet. You're still, you know, well, we need another study. We need to do this. We need to look at that. How many more? How many more years?
Yeah, so, I mean, nobody wants the project.
This is probably going back to you were probably just a youngster probably when they did the first one. You might not even been around yet, I don't know. But I mean, it's gone back that far.
Yeah, no, I know. I was looking at the original plans for Boyd Boulevard the other day and looking at the dates on them. So, no, I think the longer projects spread out, the more money they cost. That's the bottom line. Nobody wants projects to take a long time. It'd be nice to have a go, no go. A lot of the work initially done for the corridor was done in conjunction with large projects that were proposed, specifically intermodal projects that were proposed, and that work was done through, I believe, primarily the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development. I think it was, I don't know who it was at that time. The county took over the project when there was a lot of movement at Kingsbury. So their concern was, would they be able to develop Kingsbury into a full logistics park without alternatives? So that's where the county got involved and then did some studies. 2000, when was the CHA study? It was, that must have been done in like,
I have no idea.
14, 15 maybe, 15, 16. And then from that came this project, which is the NEPA document for a corridor, which is actually taking it from looking at, okay, there's a justifiable traffic need for something to what is that something. So nobody wants the project to take longer than it needs to. I think projects of this size are challenging, especially when you have multiple, you know, layers of government trying to work together to figure out a solution.
So you're kind of saying that initially at Kingsbury, the intermodal talk, you know, the
project that didn't happen. That was kind of the original impetus to get this whole thing started.
That was the initial, and I believe it was I don't think it was any federal highway funds that funded the CHA study. I think it was an economic development grant that studied the initial, that did the initial traffic study for the county's portion of this. And then once they had that and saw that there was a justifiable need to look at what alternatives there were to alleviate that traffic issue, then, and this is projected traffic too, so I understand that, yeah. Then the county went out and found federal transportation dollars to do the NEPA, and that's what's currently happening right now. So the money that we just kind of discussed, which year might it shift to, that's separate. That's the city put in an application when they did a notice of funding availability, so the NOFA, to more or less put the project on the books so that we were ready once the county's NEPA document was done to build a phase of the project.
Okay, so we know that's not happening now, the intermodal, we know that's not
Yeah.
happening. But what is happening at Kingsbury then, do you know, anything?
Oh, I know nothing about it. I work for the city.
I mean,
don't
is
know,
there
I have
something
no
happening
clue.
there that would
Yeah, that's
justify
nothing.
to continue?
Yeah, no,
you know?
and it's, so the numbers in the initial model were actually very, conservative when it came to the impact of Kingsbury and growth in Kingsbury. So, the model's been updated and we're looking to update it through our the city's comprehensive plan again, to look at exactly what those numbers are. There's still an issue with, traffic. I say traffic, not like we have traffic jams all the time. It's an overall transportation network issue that, that we need to look at solutions for.
So basically started with Kingsbury, but now it's the whole picture.
Yeah, and what we saw was, we need a solution. If Kingsbury happens, it's a massive problem. If it doesn't happen, it's still a problem that we need to solve.
Time's up.
Yeah. All right, I'm done.
We're used to that being the 3-minute rule.
It just keep doing it. I have not time to y'all.
So, I don't have anything else on
I have a question.
yes.
Did you have a chance to, look at the adjustment that we talked about?
What adjustment was that?
We have right-of-way funds, for 24. However, we won't have the environmental, in time.
For which project?
I only got one, but I forgot the city has a bunch.
The
19.
Liberty Trail?
Yes. I was gonna give you a number. Get good.
I'm showing that in 2024 funds.
Yes, and remember we discussed that we would try to figure out if they would be available in 2025 because the environmental and.
Won't be done until 2025.
No, the environmental will be done in 2024, right? So, but it'll be done so closely, they'll be done when this needs to be done. You can't, there won't be enough time to,
Yeah, so the route, it won't be done until FY 25.
That's why.
Yeah, FY.
Yeah, July.
July of 25.
And I didn't know, Nikki, what you're trying to do would benefit from that shift of money away from 24 into 25, where is that?
I think the struggle is we probably have an excess in 24 that may not be programmable.
Well, my request could be done in 24.
Yeah.
For
The extra money for 230018.
Actually, I have that, how much is that?
Well,
The
I
compromise.
asked for 100, but, I mean. So if you need to use funds in 24, I can use those in 24.
I have 150,000.
So I can use 100 of that if you need to get rid of that.
No, I think we're okay in 24.
So is that, can we,
How much do you need?
100?
And I have 150 for you.
150 for 24.
Yeah,
150 total.
no, I have 150 federal.
I'm saying 150 federal now. We're asking for additional.
Additional 100?
Yeah,
Okay,
in 24, if you need to use 24.
okay.
What about 25?
So then you can shift yours to 25.
Yeah. What is the right of amount? I'm not seeing it.
We
right-
have 250 allocated, but it's about 140, 150.
Yeah, we would need 123,000 in federal dollars in 25.
But we're asking for like, we wanna push it a little.
So you're shifting, let me understand, so you have 100, how much in
We have
24?
250.
You have 250,000 in 24 and you're shifting that to 25?
Correct. And we don't need
We don't need
that
all.
much either.
Okay.
How much do you need?
130.
130 would be, yeah,
Federal?
correct.
Okay, this is the 1902691,
That's correct.
Lee Streets.
And you're still looking at 140,000 federal then for 25, Charles, for the comprehensive plan in Porte County.
Upfront.
Right, but that probably will,
And that's the bulk of it. As long as it's covered.
okay.
So do I need to do that before July?
Send me an email and CC Steven and probably Ann
Okay,
and Lisa. And,
pretty much what we've all been discussing.
Yes.
Ask that it needs to be added as a project for 25.
yes,
Okay,
I'll try to help you with the wording.
okay.
so,
Cause I don't see anything, I don't see any new. in there. I think I might have to keep
okay,
piecing these together,
okay. And we've been talking about it, but,
unless I can get 100%.
well, no one can.
I know that.
Love that.
So, anything else?
No.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay,
So just 25, there's funds available currently.
yes,
27, there's funds available currently.
yes. I will,
So let's not make any decisions until the note.
right,
Or
and
any
anything in
stuff.
27 is gonna go through the note. Any funds in 27 is going through the note. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to number 6, item number 6.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Yes.